Okay, and then we have a show that question. I love this question. It's a proof question, but I think it really does a lot for us. So show that sine of x plus pi over 2 is equal to the cosine of x. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to expand this out using my sine formula. So sine formula up at the top. So this is going to look like sine of x cosine pi over 2. Remember, sine formula means you swap out, you flip-flop with the trig functions, but you get to keep the SIGN sign that you're working with. And then you would do sine of pi over 2 cosine of x. So flip-flop your trig functions, flip-flop your angles and which one's A and B, but that's how you would rewrite it. And then on my right-hand side is just cosine of x. So I love this question. Here's why. Sine of x is sine of x. Nothing we can do about it. Cosine of pi over 2 is 0. Sine of pi over 2 is 1, and cosine of x is cosine of x. So if we do this right, which we did, sine of x times 0 is 0. 1 times cosine of x is cosine of x, and I get cosine of x is equal to cosine of x. Love this question. There's a couple of them like this in your homework. I just think they're nice. They're just nice ways to kind of get introduced to this whole idea. All right, and then our last question on this page is going to be write cosine of 4x, cosine of 2x, minus sine of 4x, sine of 2x as a single cosine. So the idea is that we know that it's a cosine because they kind of tell us that it's a cosine, but we also know it's a cosine because the cosines are grouped together and the sines are grouped together. If there is a minus in the problem when it's expanded, that means there's a plus in the condensed version. Okay. So, and then here, this is really kind of, looks more intimidating than it is. I'm going to call 4xa and I'm going to call 2xb. And I'm just going to say that this is cosine of a plus b. And on this specific problem, this would look like cosine of 4x plus 2x, or cosine of 6x. That would be the answer. So we recognize that it's a cosine. Number one, they tell us. Number two, I recognize that it's a cosine because the cosines are grouped together and the sines are grouped together. Cosine rule tells me that if there's a minus sign, it's actually a plus because we do the opposite in the expansion versus when we condense. And then just label out those two pieces, A and B, and then simplify to get 6x.